The if statement, right, does a test, and here's what we want to test. There's a column here with two tax codes in it, and if your tax code is number 1, your tax rate should be 2%. So what we'd like to do is to create a column that tells me what the tax rate should be using the if statement, right? So if this is 1, I want to put a 2% here. If it's not 1, I want to put an 8% there. So I'm just going to type in the column heading and then put the equal sign, if, open parens, right? And you can see from the help here, there's 3 things we have to do. So first of all, my test would be, right, if the value in C2 equals 1, comma, the true value 0.02, comma, 0.08, the false value. So obviously, we've only got a few records here. That's easy to see. So then I can copy that down, and here is the correct tax rate based on the code. So now what I'd like to do, right, is, any questions about if? No. Okay. So what I'd like to do then is, the next step is to recompute the tax. So I'll call that correct tax. And that's just going to be the purchase amount times my tax rate. And I'll copy that down. And here's all the correct taxes. So then the third thing we want to do is do the test. So I'll call that tax test. And I'm going to put in another if statement. And I'll say if, right, the client's tax equals my tax, put in a comma, I want the true value, I'll put in OK, and since I'm using text rather than numbers, right, it has to be in quotes. And then if it's not correct, I'll put in error, and I'll close the parens. And we can see, right, we can do an eyeball test here. We can see there's an 18-cent difference here, but we're not testing with any threshold. So this has given us three errors in the audit.
Why wouldn't you just take the difference? Because that would tell you if there were an error and the amount of the error.
Because we're practicing if statements, but good point for next year's audit, Graham. We will. We used to have this like points for next year file, right? Wish we would have thought of that this year. So, but then so if you test the differences, then you could, when you use a filter, you would just filter for 0 or not 0, right? Depending what you wanted to look at. Yeah. So, are there other better ways we could do my work? No. Okay. So I guess one thing I forgot was I said we could add conditional formatting, right? So I'm going to go here to more rules. If the cell contains, so I'm going to say if the cell is equal to error, right? I want it to be some kind of color. We'll go with blue this time, or maybe purple. We haven't used purple for anything. So that's purple, and I can copy it and we can find the errors, right? So then we could apply a filter. Oops. We could apply a filter. I can filter by color in this case, and then highlight those, move them to a different page. Now whatever audit work I wanted to do with those errors, they've been found. So what the next assignment has you using is an if statement along with VLOOKUPs and conditional formatting and things that we saw in the first assignment. So, any other questions about if? Seems okay? All right. So since I'm just going to close the video